Justice Democrat Ro Khanna and Representative Mark Pocan, however you pronounce that, Mark, I apologize, and Walter Jones, so another representative, Walter Jones, they wrote an article in the New York Times announcing a new bill, and their piece is called "Stop the Unconstitutional War in Yemen." So it's nice that we have some good Congress people pushing for ending this abysmal, atrocious disaster that we're currently involved in. Let's see what they have to say here. Imagine that the entire population of Washington State, 7.3 million people, were on the brink of starvation, with the port city of Seattle under a naval and aerial blockade, leaving it unable to receive and distribute countless tons of food and aid that sit waiting offshore. This nightmare scenario is akin to the obscene reality occurring in the Middle East's poorest country, Yemen, at the hands of the region's richest, Saudi Arabia, with unyielding United States military support that Congress has not authorized and therefore violates the Constitution. For nearly 3 years, the United States has been participating alongside a military coalition led by Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates in a brutal military campaign in Yemen. The United States is selling the Saudi monarchy missiles and warplanes, assisting in the coalition's targeting selection for aerial bombings, and actively providing mid-air refueling for Saudi and United Arab Emirates jets that conduct indiscriminate airstrikes, the leading cause of civilian casualties. Meanwhile, the Saudi coalition is starving millions of Yemenis as a grotesque tactic of war. This is horrifying. We have therefore introduced a bipartisan congressional resolution to withdraw American armed forces from these unauthorized hostilities in order to help put an end to the suffering of a country approaching a famine of biblical proportions. In the words of Jan Egeland, the head of the Norwegian Refugee Council. After all, as Foreign Policy has reported, the Saudi coalition's daily bombing campaign would not be possible without the constant presence of U.S. Air Force tanker planes refueling coalition jets. So basically, to sum up what they're arguing here, they're saying, hey, the United States is engaged in a war in Yemen in no uncertain terms. We're directly involved in the bombing campaigns, directly involved in the atrocities that are happening there. Saudi Arabia is blockading the country and literally starving millions of people. They're not allowing food and medicine in. So there's a fucking cholera outbreak in Yemen, and nobody cares because Saudi Arabia has imposed all these, this strict embargo on them. And they don't care that they're not getting medicine, they're not getting food. They're just letting people die. They're literally bombing open-air markets. They're bombing mosques. They're bombing hospitals and schools. There was one story of bombing a school for the blind. They bombed. Now, all the while they're doing this, we keep selling them weapons. We keep refueling their planes, and then also sometimes we tell them the coordinates to strike. And these are totally indiscriminate bombs, just massacring civilians left and right. So they're saying, what are we doing here? This is clearly unconstitutional. Congress has to declare war. Congress did not declare this. So you're not allowed to do this. Pull out now. You're not allowed to be there. It is clearly unconstitutional. So, and then the only response can be from the government, from the executive branch. Well, look, here's the thing. George W. Bush, when he declared the war on terror, well, this is just under that authorization for use of military force. So you just add this on to the fact that we're doing the war on terror, and that's what this is part of, the war on terror. There's a giant flaw with that argument. Shia Houthis took over Yemen. It was a Sunni government. Shia Houthis took it over. Shia Houthis did not attack us on 9/11. Shia Houthis were not part of the original declaration of war in the war on terror. I mean, it was for Al-Qaeda, And by the way, they've stretched that and misinterpreted 1,000 ways where they say, no, it's Al-Qaeda, and then it's also the Taliban. Why? It was just Al-Qaeda, but now, the Taliban too, because they are friends with them. And then they add ISIS too, obviously, because it's the branch off of Al-Qaeda. So they're just using it to say, okay, jihadists. We're just going to fight jihadists. Shia Houthis are not jihadists. They're not jihadists. In fact, Al-Qaeda is involved in Yemen, for those of you who don't know. They are there. You know which side they're fighting on? They are the Sunni militias on the ground fighting to take back the government from the Shia Houthis. So the argument from the executive branch is, hey, it's cool, don't worry, we have the authority, the legal authority to do this war, but you're fighting as de facto allies with the people who attacked us on 9/11. And they make a good point in the piece. They go, do you think if Americans knew that, they would say, yeah, cool, go ahead, keep wasting our taxpayer money and keep fueling the barbaric Saudi regime as they massacre civilians? Would Americans say that if they knew those facts, those basic facts I just laid out for you? There's no fucking way they would. So that's why they're saying, that's it. Let's go. Pack it up, bring it home. This is preposterous. This is ridiculous. And by the way, all the fucking rhetoric, oh, human rights, the U.S. cares about human rights and freedom and altruism and all that. Oh, God, yeah. They are literally on the side of the human rights abusers in this situation. So don't give me that world police bullshit. Don't give me that they care about humanitarianism and altruism bullshit. They clearly do not. It is clearly more about the status quo and keeping the establishment as it is and keeping the world order as it is. And it's clearly about, hey, Saudi's our ally because they're our oil butt buddy and the petrodollar is vitally important. So we will assist them in their atrocities and their genocide and all the while mask ourselves in human rights language. It is deep, profound, disgusting hypocrisy, and they're making it so U.S. taxpayers, we all have blood on our hands. So credit to Justice Democrat Ro Khanna and Mark Pocan and Walter Jones for pushing for the right policy. Don't stop. Don't stop, because there's a whole nother piece to this argument too, which is, hey, on top of everything I already mentioned about this situation in Yemen, wouldn't it be great if we had those funds available to fund college, to fund healthcare, to fund a new deal in the U.S., to rebuild our infrastructure? Wouldn't it be great if we stopped crusading around the world, pretending to care about human rights while we are an imperialist power? Wouldn't it be great if we took all those funds and spent them here at home? I think so.